Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Quoth the Raven, Lewis Bright Raven. I am your host, Lewis Bright Raven, 28-year veteran of science fiction, fantasy, horror, comics, role-playing games, and all kinds of cool stuff. And tonight we're going to talk about the underrated. That is artists. Tonight, artists. We'll talk about writers. We'll talk about more artists. This is not going to be a definitive list. But creators in comics and elsewhere who have been perhaps overlooked by fans and publishers alike. John Norris says hello. Hello again, John. Nice to see you as always. Before we get started, though, I want to let you all know that this weekend, Saturday, 12 p.m. to 2 p.m., I will be at Scratch and Spin Records and Collectibles at 513 12th Street in West Columbia, South Carolina, across the street from Zesto's restaurant, for their version of Halloween Comic Fest. Now, normally Halloween Comic Fest is something that Diamond carries and does every October, or has for the last 5 or 7 years or something like that. And because of COVID, they're not doing it as extensively as they have in the past, in recent times. But we're going to do it. And so I'm going to be bringing, sketch cards and toys and stuff like that to the event to give away. Little dinosaur figures like these. Painted army men, painted up like Crimson Guard and Cobra action figures. I have a Marvel Secret Empire Cosmic Cube that I'll be giving away, and of course the sketch cards. I don't want to get too shiny on the camera there, but most of them are jack-o'-lanterns, but I have some zombies as well. Trying to find some other stuff that might not be. I didn't grab them all. I only grabbed some, but we'll have some. Here's another zombie for you. I'll have some Star Wars characters as well. There's Strippy McCool and Max Rebo from the band in Return of the Jedi. Judge Dredd. A few other things as well. So that'll be fun to look at and hand out to the kids. So that's what I'll be doing. And that is our sponsor, so to speak, for tonight. So again, that is Scratch and Spin Records and Collectibles at 513 12th Street in West Columbia, South Carolina. Across from the street from Zesto's. DWAYNE BIDDIX, welcome. Nice to see you. DWAYNE is actually someone we're going to be talking about this evening. Mark Andrew Smith is here. So that'll be cool. We are getting people in tonight. Alrighty. Well, before we get into our reviews, we have to go, or not reviews, well, they are kind of reviews. We're exploration of talent. We have to answer some questions. Some people have already been snarky at me a little about this one. First question is from Anonymous. I know you go to the comic shop most every week, but I hear from a lot of other podcasts that they don't go, especially those who are part of Comicsgate. They say there is no reason to go because there's no content. What's your view on this? My view is that if they're telling me that there's no reason to go to a comic shop because there's no content there to be found, either A, the comic shop doesn't carry anything, which is very entirely possible. There's a lot of comic shops that are very centric on certain things that they're not looking for. Or, just as equally, they're not trying to find anything. So I don't know which is which. So yes, it's actually Dwayne, not Wayne, but anyway, but that's my view on that question is, if there's some guy who says, oh, I don't go to the comic shop anymore because I can't find anything, it's probably because they're not even trying. So I don't really take their statements to heart or to any significance. Next question. Indie Geek, which may or may not be someone pretending to be Randy Zimmerman, who, so people who know me from the earliest days of this channel know what the deal is. I'm not going to go into this, but Randy's a former associate and publisher of mine, and I won't say we had a falling out, but he did some things that are a little bit questionable with me, and I'm not too cool with him right now. Or he's rather not, he's not cool with me. Let's put it that way. All right. The question is, I suppose you consider yourself one of the underrated and will now spend another week talking about yourself and what you've done in the business. Because recently I have done a couple of episodes talking about my own experience in the industry. And no, it's not a question of whether or not I'm part of the underrated or not. The idea of the underrated theme is to talk about and promote other people. So no, it's not going to be talking about me. Sorry. Next question. Comics Gate Nate, another fool. Let me guess, you're going to be an SJW promoter this week with your underrated show. No, if you do that, you're going to chase off viewers, right? Whatever. But yeah, it's not about SJWism. It's not about anything other than talent that's been around for a long time in the business that haven't really had a whole lot of exposure, haven't really had that opportunities that others seem to get hand and foot given to them. I don't know. But that's all it is. It's not it's not, this is going to be the Latino show or the black show or the girl show or the trans show or whatever. It's just talent. Okay. And conversely, the SJW fan, I bet you don't name any women or black artists or gay artists to your list. As a matter of fact, this week I don't. I have an Asian artist on the list for this week, but that has nothing to do with me being prejudicial or anything. It was just, I had like 15 people. I only managed to get 6 of them put together. So tonight, I'm really been kind of busy today, trying to get some stuff done around the house, and we're trying to get a door fixed, and that took some time. I don't know if you guys watched the earlier episode. You may have even heard the drilling and hammering downstairs from my father. He was trying to work on the door. But anyway, yeah, we're going to have more women and blacks and other creators as well in this theme when I return to it regularly, because they're going to be worth talking about. But that doesn't, just because they're not the first ones I'm talking about, doesn't mean anything either. And the skeptic says, how would you even classify underrated? I mean, there's all kinds of talents who have been around for years, who have worked at the big two that aren't superstar fan favorites. Wouldn't that make them underrated? Potentially, yes. Absolutely. I guess for what my purposes are, it's going to be people that have been around for at least 5 or 6 years in the business, probably closer up towards 15 to 30 years in the business, who have less than 20 projects with the major publishers under their belt, but they've been published regularly and consistently in comics, in trading cards, in movies and television, elsewhere, but just not at Marvel, DC, Image, Dark Horse, etc. And so I'm going to ask why, and we're going to look at their work. Okay? So if you have questions, email them to quotheraven@lbr72@gmail.com, subject QTR questions, and please indicate whether or not you want your name and locale read on air. Hope I answered your question there. Already underrated. So let's go ahead and get straight into who some of the underrated are. We're going to do this in alphabetical order. So we're going to start with a gentleman by the name of Mitch Ballard. He's best known for various Marvel and DC trading card sets, working for Upper Deck and Rittenhouse, personal commissions, Pace Setter magazine, which is the George Perez tribute magazine, and some other works as well. And why he's on this list is he's a classic throwback artist who is clearly influenced by the exceptional Bronze Age artists such as Jim Aparo, George Perez, and Jose Luis Garcia Lopez. Ballard is sort of an artist out of his era, or rather, it's more that the idiot editors today don't want to hire artists who actually draw in this vein. If this were the 1980s or even the early 1990s, he probably would be a major star right now. The fact that he is overlooked, however, is criminal, in my humble opinion. Let's take a look at his work. These are commissions he did for a fan to do one-panel, full-page shots of a story of Dick Grayson as Nightwing. And the Black Mask has him chained around with a huge anchor and throws him overboard. He gets out of the chains and out of the cop suit that he wears as a police officer in Bloodhaven and comes back as Nightwing to get back at who tried to kill him, basically. Very nice, distinctive artwork here. It's got good tone for his light sources. He has good depth perception in his line art. Maybe that anchor is a little bit too big in a way for one guy to be lifting like that, but I don't know. I like the detail work on his figures. They're consistent. The anatomy's pretty strong. He draws things just, really well defined and easy visually to follow, which is not something that we can always say for artists in modern styles. Here's some commission sketches, or not sketches, but commission covers, mock pieces he did. One's a Suicide Squad with the old original Suicide Squad going after Creature of the Black Lagoon, and Batman versus Mr. Freeze with Batgirl stuck in the cryo-freezing chamber. I think you all can see I hope you can see the level of detail in here. I know that the screens are a little bit small. Unfortunately, I can't enlarge them much more. Nope, it won't let me. I apologize for that. But can you guys see the influences I've mentioned? And Garcia Lopez and Perez and Aparo and the like. Here's some more of his pencils. And this was from a series called The Sentinels, small press. Has a lot of the classic Golden Age public domain characters in there, like the Human Bomb. That's the character with the helmet. That's center bottom. Um, the guy with the A on his chest is oh geez, I can't think of his name right now, but that's pretty cool stuff though. I like the work. Okay. Now, our next person that we're going to talk to, or talk about rather, is Dwayne. Here's Dwayne. He's best known for Morbid Myths from Alternative Comics, Stabbity Bunny from Scout Comics, Marvel trading cards and other trading cards from Topps, Good Cop, Bad Cop from Overworld Card Games, and film storyboarding for The Laughing Mask and Blood and Soil. And why Dwayne's on this list is he's proven to be a diverse artist who can work in dozens of art styles the way a true artist in comics should be able to do. Unfortunately, this is probably blocking him in some ways in our market because many jackass editors are wrong-minded and think that artists should be one-trick ponies and not have the range of diverse styles, but a specific one that audiences will identify and gravitate to. Such sentiment would be fine if the editors ever actually hired one artist per style at a time, but as we all know, there are dozens of ham and egg or copycat stylists who are getting work. So let's get the real artists who can actually draw in multiple styles instead. They're better artists. Another reason why I included Dwayne on this list is his experience and his attitude. Just read his social media accounts and you can tell that he really loves what he does and he's trying to put his own into everything he does, and that he does get frustrated and even downright depressed from the lack of opportunities he's seen over the years, and I can't help but sympathize with him and give dirty looks to these editors and these other publishers who are passing him over. So let's take a look at the man's work, shall we? And by the way, the digital side of him, that's him digitalizing himself. Yeah, I think that's pretty cool. And I presume you did that on a tablet. Or a tablet or here on. I'm trying to think of the drawing boards or whatever, not for the computer. All digital anyway. This is Stabbity Bunny, #1 from Scout Comics, and he's been doing this since 2018. And comes from Scout Comics, and he works with writer Richard Rivera. And the genre is, I guess, we say horror adventurer. And what it's about is 7-year-old Grace, still clutching her adorable plush bunny, is kidnapped by supernatural forces that have been hunting her family for generations. She awakens in a shack on the outskirts of town for the first time of her life. The little girl can't sense her mother's presence. Her captor knows the family secrets, and that link has been severed. When her escape attempt fails, it seems that there will be deadly consequences, but an unlikely protector intervenes. It's a big mistake to kidnap a child with a plush toy named Stabbity Bunny. And this is some of the artwork here. And I don't know, Dwayne, did you color this or did the other individual, Lizel Buenaventura, color it? No, he painted it on his face. He's that good. He probably could do that, actually, if he gave him the right tools and a mirror. Okay, so that was Lizel Bonaventura for the colors. Just wanted to make sure and clear that. Had that correct on crediting. So I didn't put her name on there because I wasn't sure. I couldn't find my actual issues. I had to take digital files. But this is where she's at a zoo and she fell behind with the group. She's looking at pandas and somebody comes and steals her. And this is the new pages for issue number 10 that he just sent me. Is this this is the black and white stuff, so we can actually see what his work looks like. Dwayne says he just colored a few of the covers. And yeah, Liesel's a very nice colorist. I have no problem with that. Like I said, I just couldn't find my copy of the magazine so that I could check it for sure. And I forgot to ask you earlier. That's all. And I guess this is all done digital. I do wonder though, is this for the newest issue that's about to come out, or is this stuff that's already come out? Because I've only got like the first 2 issues. In any case, while we're waiting for Dwayne to answer, I think the artwork is very clean, very open, friendly to coloring. It's nice line weight, line depth to create depth perception in the work. Hospital and he says this one is out, and he says 11 is out also. Okay, I'm gonna have to start hounding my retailer or hounding Scout to get me some information on that. And 12 will be very soon. This is the last one in this run, and then you'll jump over to a new comic through Scout. Okay, Scout should be telling me this because I'm Scout usually sends me information about their stuff. Mark Smith says it being open leaves plenty of word balloon space, which is good planning. Yep, absolutely. Good eye there, Mark. Let's look at some more of Dwayne's work. Here's some more of those pages from number 10. Still, even with things a little bit more close up, there's still plenty of space for dialogue and here's something else in a completely different style. Looney Tunes. This is what I mean by Dwayne being able to jump styles and be consistent and be on model and do stuff that's well done, fits what a publisher needs. And this was an actual. This was not published. This was something that Dwayne pitched to. I don't know who he pitched it to, but if he pitched it to DC for the Looney Tunes books or something like that. But it's nice work, very nice work. Did you color this as well? Mm-hmm. Okay, this was a submission to DC and he did do the colors too. Yeah, see, why DC is letting this stuff go. I mean, I look at the Looney Tunes stuff and it's just, you know, I don't know. It's a shame that they look this over. And I'm John, you're one to walk. I don't know, John. I know you like to buy a lot of the all ages comics. Did you buy Looney Tune books? I can't remember if you have or not. Here's speaking another version of ducks. Deadpool duck, which is, you know, pretty cool. You know, I like the design here. Again, this is, I know this is your colors this time for sure. I don't know if you've ever seen my Wolver duck. I did a. John says no, I didn't, and he should have. But you know, yeah, I take it that you have seen. Okay, you have seen my Wolver duck. Okay. So you can see that, you know, that was. I mean, I may not be the same thing, but I mean, we all doing ducks as doing Donald Duck or Daffy Duck is somebody else's superhero is a pretty commonplace thing that we all do. It's pretty fun to do. I like the inking work on this as well. Do you ever do anything not digital these days, or are you strictly digital these days? Just out of curiosity. And here's some faux covers, unused covers, stuff that he's pitched around, I guess. Um, Invader Zim would have been going to Oni, I'm pretty sure. I don't know if anybody, who's doing Venture Brothers, if anybody. But again, you know, this is an example of him doing, you know, completely different art styles again and getting it on model. Some personal stuff. Okay. All production stuff is always digital. Cool. Well, that's fine. You know, nothing wrong with that. Mm-hmm. It's getting more and more commonplace. And welcome to Ted Davies Artistry. Mm-hmm. Ah, Boston Wallace has entered the room and says hello. I always thought Don Newton was underrated. He did Phantom and Batman, but people did. Oh yes, I agree. Don Newton was another one. Absolutely. Um, if we're talking about Silver and Bronze Age, yes, Don would definitely be one of them. I'm trying to go a little bit who's in the market now too, but we'll see. And then there's another faux cover for Space Ghost, and this was a character design bust design for Morbius from Marvel as well. I thought, again, demonstrated a nice sampler as well. Now, I happen to wonder on some of these. I mean, okay, you did this digitally on the Space Ghost. Do you ever do any of the blank covers with regular pencils and stuff like that for sketch covers for shows or any of that stuff like that, Dwayne? Whoops. Let me close some windows down here. Something getting kind of crazy here. There we go. You need to show some of that stuff on your, if you have them, you should have some scans. You should show those on your DeviantArt page or your other art page on Wix or something, so you can see what those look like comparative to the digital. Because we do digital art versus our traditional art, there is a difference to final results to some degree. It's just kind of curious what we can do with different tools. We got one more thing from Dwayne here, and then again we're showing another stylistic, ability to jump styles here, and he's doing Steven Universe. Again, this is him doing everything, I believe. And this is kind of artists, I think, this is what you're supposed to be able to do. And so many artists don't do that, or at least they, Dwayne says, yes, he did it all. He did all the line art and the coloring and everything. Cool. Awesome. There's just so many artists. And I'm not saying that artists that are in the business can't do it. A lot of times, when you get known for doing a certain thing, that's what the publishers want you to do. It's not that they can't do it. It's that they're not allowed to do it. I guess you could say often, but yeah, there's kind of a thing going on. Another artist that we've got, because that was all I had to show on Dwayne's stuff. But Dwayne, is there anything? What would you like to work on? I mean, obviously you've got a wider range of tastes and interests. I mean, you've shown us that just from what little bit I just demonstrated from you. And if a person was to go to your DeviantArt site or your Wix site, there would be even literally 10 times more. But I mean, what are the things you really want to get a crack at? Waiting. Sorry about the silence. I don't want to jump to the next guy until Dwayne answers. He might be having a thing. What do I say? Your own, is that an animated series or live? Yeah, animated, I would assume. Aren't you working on something as a producer soon? I thought, or is that something I misread? I'd love to see you do some Marvel covers and do animation as a character designer as well. Starburns, okay. Okay. You're developing show pitches, okay. I could have sworn I'd seen that. Let me check something real quick. Um, okay, My Wife the Devil. That's what I was thinking of. You're doing Marvel cards for Topps. Where are they paying you, if you don't mind my asking too much? Because there's been a lot of controversy recently on the rates that people are being offered, and I just it's kind of funny. I mean, I've seen some people just go completely ballistic at it. Yeah, he's doing character designs for My Wife the Devil. It actually has you listed as an associate producer as well. That's why I asked about production. And I am on an Internet Movie Database. So if you're actually listed as that, you might want to get a little more money. I get around 100 a card. Well, 100 a card is good reasonable rate. Then you do it for their digital sets. Yeah, that's cool. Very cool. Okay. Yeah, I mean, of course, you are working for Topps. You're not working for Upper Deck. Upper Deck is really cheap. I've had to deal with them. So, hey, take the credit, but coolness. Alrighty then. So we're looking at you wanting to do. You want to stay in comics. You want to do some covers with Marvel, and of course you're working in animation as a character designer, and that's cool. Yeah, sketch cards can be paid very low. Mars Attack stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I've had it so bad where they want to like say, well, we're not going to use it, so here's a quarter or here's 50 cents. Destroy the cards. We don't even want to use them now that you did them. So that's why I kind of just don't bother anymore. But that's me, you know. So okay, that's very cool. Anybody else got anything to ask Dwayne that you want to ask him? Mark's always looking for artists. He's a writer. Did you see something you liked in his work? Don't know who all's here. Got 4 people supposedly in the room. Who, me? Yeah, you. You should take a look at Dwayne's work and see if he might be able to be suitable for. Oh shoot! I'm trying to think of the book that the artist bailed on you on. Because I mean, I think he can. I think if you showed him that style, he could come up with something. Yeah, for New Brighton, that's what I was trying to think of. I think if you two talked about it and you showed him that stuff, I bet he could probably figure out a way to get in something in either similar or along even if you wanted to go to a different design line a little bit, he could probably do it. Something to think about. I just couldn't think of the name of it because I haven't seen it in so long. But even if it's not New Brighton, I mean, you've got other projects too. Here I am playing matchmaker, trying to get people work. made good scratch selling Mars Attacks covers that I did for IDW back in the day. But yeah, that is true. I've heard a lot about that. About IDW not paying great rates from a lot of people, unfortunately. I'm still going to show some of your IDW work, Lawson. Lawson's another artist we're going to show. Absolutely makes sense. Yeah, Rocketeer Spirit was a good one. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to scan anything from that one in there, but I hope what I did pick was good. But I don't know about Archie. I haven't heard anything about that. But I've heard a lot of companies that aren't. It's like everybody's starting to pay lower and lower rates because they can go overseas and get people. Oh, I know. I know, Lawson. I'm not saying you did. Like I said, you're not the only person I've heard. I mean, a couple of people asked me to do inking for IDW, and I asked a couple of my inker friends who were working for them. They're like, "Ooh, you can't afford it. You know, they'll pay enough." I'm like, "Oh, okay." Yeah. You bailed them out on that Rocketeer job. What happened? You get a last second request for work, like someone else had been planning to be inking it, and they didn't. The guy that they had inking left after issue. Yeah, I've done that. In fact, one of the books that one of my first full books that I got to ink, I was so-called the fill-in on issue number 1 because the inker flaked out on the publisher, and I had to ink 27 pages in 4 days. Not fun. Oh, dang. Paul. Well, yeah, Paul's got a reputation for doing that. It's like, I don't know what it is about him. He likes to go get on his motorcycle and just ride for a while. he's always been kind of I don't want to say flaky, but yeah. You never know with Paul. He's he's got that reputation though for doing that. So that's cool. Yep, definitely a free spirit. Definitely. Let's go ahead and move on to our next artist for the show, and that is Borden. Recently, he's been calling himself Jack Borden. I could have sworn earlier he was Javier Borden, but it's probably Jack. He's best known for Stormy Weather versus Evil, Mayhem, and How to Draw Action Girls. And why he's on this list is mostly probably because he's from Poland and American audiences just haven't been exposed to his amazing talent. But after 20 years as a professional comics and animation artist, it's long past time he was recognized in the American comics scene. I'm going to post a lot more about Borden in the future because I've promoted Mayhem via the Kickstarter campaign, and when I get my copy, it's supposed to be in the mail next week or two. When I get it, rest assured we'll be reviewing it. I love the guy. Yeah. Paul, no, Smitty's cool. Don't get me wrong. I think he's an awesome dude. I just know his reputation from others that sometimes he just goes and you can't find him for weeks or months on end because he goes out on his motorcycle and just hangs out, goes and rides. But let's take a look at some of Jack's work. This is from his Stormy Weather's Evil storyline. And I don't know if this is French, or it's probably French, but because he's published in 3 languages. I imagine that Lawson and yeah, that Paul Smith mark, and not just X-Men covers. He let X-Men issues, and not all back in the 80s. He did a whole 11 issues, I think, maybe. Mm-hmm. But again, I'm really liking this guy's work. He has good depth perception. Yeah, like I said, Paul had a good run for like 11 issues, I think it was, if I remember correctly, total. Lawson, do you recognize Borden? Okay, you're not familiar with his work. Okay, that's cool. I didn't know, because I mean we're all on DeviantArt, and a lot of times I see people on Deviant, but that doesn't necessarily mean you guys do. So this is Pencil Studies from Mayhem as well, and for those of you who don't know what Mayhem is, it's kind of like this science fiction demonic mecha trying to think here. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Yeah, it's classic mecha, but anyway. Yeah, he has. Well, you can find, I mean, he has so much different styles and different things. I just picked a random sampling of art that was all kind of, together. But if you went to look on DeviantArt, you'd find, I think you can do what you're asking about, panning the camera away some more. But I'm going to go ahead and come back to Jack another day. Our next artist is John Doug Dennis. And I've known John for 30 years. He's best known for The Realm from Caliber Comics, Nightman from Malibu Comics. He did an issue of The Comet for DC Impact. He did the 92 Wonder Woman annual, and the Spider-Woman backup, and the Avengers West Coast annual for 1992 as well. Basically, this is I kind of I quoted this out of Comicspedia or whatever, a little bit. This isn't all stuff because I couldn't remember exactly what he did before he got into comics. But he's been working basically in advertising art since 81, 81. And he got into comics in the early 90s at Caliber Press. And what really burns me about John is that he was constantly being offered titles and then having the editors change their minds and say, oh, never mind, we're not going to hire you. Or there would be books that he would get assigned and they would get canceled before his first issue was released. So all he would get was a kill fee and we'd never see any of his artwork. When you keep treating any artist like this, is it any real wonder why they would not be in the industry and why he, in this case, remained in the insurance business full-time and never took off into stardom? Now, understand, he was asked to test and offer Spider-Man, Thor, X-Men, a Creeper miniseries, Tarzan, The Terminator, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and various other works that never came to fruition. By the time Malibu offered him The Strangers initially, he was actually the first artist that was offered The Strangers for the Ultraverse line. He turned it down, and Rick Hoberg got the assignment after John. And then later he did come to Nightman, mostly because of Steve Englehart being a huge proponent of John's, but his confidence was pretty much shot by that point. And he was like, because Malibu at the time wanted him to move to California and be at, there with Ultraverse full time. And when you're, do you really want to give up your insurance business that guarantees you 70, 80K a year income for something that may not, Yep, that's it. You option it, you work on it, it gets killed. No kill fee. You didn't get a kill fee. Wow. Maybe the reason that John got a kill fee is because he did have an agent. He was with Starreach when Starreach was around. So maybe his agent got that negotiated for him. I know I've had that issue where I either wouldn't get a kill fee or I would get a kill fee for next to nothing. So, but anyway, John's now in his, I don't know. They say he was born in 50. I don't think he's that old, but if he is, then he's 70 years old. So part of the reason he's not working now is because he's aged out. Not just Platinum. There's all kinds of companies that do that, unfortunately. I mean, just, yeah. But anyway, it's also an issue that John's never confirmed or denied this with me, but it's been rumored that he contracted Lyme disease some years ago, and it affected his motor skills enough that he can't draw anymore or at the same level of skills, so he doesn't really want to work anymore. And if that's true, that's truly a shame that the industry wasted the opportunity to work with such talent. John's style is owed much to Windsor Smith and P. Craig Russell, so enjoy some of his samples. This is his Wonder Woman annual, two-page spread from the Wonder Woman annual. He did the first, 31 pages of the story, and David Johnson did the last half of the book, inked by Andy Parks and colored by Matt Hollingsworth. And I think Andy did a pretty decent job of inking him. John's pencils can be difficult to read for an inker if they don't first time we're seeing his work because they don't necessarily know what he's doing. He's got a very Rococo style. This is The Realm. This is some of his earlier works. I know that the I believe this is stuff that he inked himself. I'm not sure. If he didn't ink it, then Jason Moore did. And I was a big fan of the Realm at the time. That's kind of how I met John in a way. We were both members of an amateur press zine called Simber Team Amateur Press Alliance, which I mentioned a few weeks ago when I was doing my own history in the business. But this is the guy. Seeing him is kind of what got me like, yeah, I want to go work for Caliber. This is character mock-ups of John Constantine that I wish I had the actual story pages. He had some beautiful story pages with this. I just couldn't find them. But this is this stuff for Hellblazer that he tried for in '93 and unfortunately got passed over on. Yes, DC licensing and actually Marvel licensing isn't too bad either. Yeah, I wish I had the story pages because I mean he had a really nice thing from the fanzine that he put that in, and unfortunately I lost all my fanzine collection years ago, and it's just like I got like maybe like 20 or 30 scraps of John's stuff left in my collection, so it's like but this is some more Realm stuff. This is the actual finished page from the Realm number 21. I believe this is Realm 21. On the left, and then on the right are some pencils from issue 23 that were never published because he left Caliber to go to DC. Originally, he was going to do Spelljammer. I don't know if you guys remember Spelljammer from the TSR line at DC. And he did a full issue and a half, and the license to TSR ran out before his book came out, and they decided not to renew the license with DC, so his books were never released. So, and then by the time that happened, I don't know why he never returned to Caliber to come back to the Realm, but he didn't. So it's kind of a shame. I think what happened was Gary Reed, the publisher, decided to just cancel the series or cancel and reboot the series. So the story that he was going to do just wasn't going to be done anymore. I think is what happened, but I don't remember for sure. And these are his Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe pages. And I believe this was from Malibu that he was trying to do at the time. If I remember, it's either Malibu or Dark Horse. He had an agent through Star Reach that was trying to get him work in the early 90s, and he would always be doing samplers and getting nowhere. Don't know why. It's a shame. And then these are his Nightman pages, some of his Nightman pages from Nightman 16. I think it. Oh, I don't know if this was actually from 16 or not. It said 16 on the pages that I had the photocopies of, but I don't remember if that was the actual issue they actually appeared in. And let me see if I can find that real quick. Computer's being fussy. Let's see. No, it's not 16. It was a different issue. Let me see what issue it actually appeared in real quick if I can. It's a nice issue, though. I mean, he's basically stopping a crooked mayor from stealing um, money and gets her turned into the cops, more or less. And for some reason, my connection is not working tonight. I don't know why. Let me see if I can. It was 17 instead of 16. Okay. Just to be clear, it was 17. But it was a really nice issue. So that was like some of the last stuff he actually really got to do, as far as I can remember, was 95, 96, about that time. And then he kind of like just dropped off. And it's a shame. Let's go on to our next artist, though. This is an old school veteran, Dennis Fujitaki, best known for Dalgota and Retief, covers for the Comics Journal, numerous fanzines from the 1970s and 1980s, and he's a current cartoonist at the Hawaii Herald newspaper in Honolulu, Hawaii today. Why he's on this list? Well, he's kind of one of the most perplexing artists on this list. He was actually getting known back in the day. Dalgota and Retief were cult classics, comics that they're still classic independent series to this very day. I'm not exactly sure what happened other than the sales weren't high enough to continue on the Dalgota line, and that he and writer Jan Sternad never found another publishing deal for it. Which for Dalgota especially, it just blows my mind because it's an awesome series. I can't believe no one's ever picked it up. But he does comic strips and one shots and political cartoon for the local newspaper there in Hawaii nowadays. And he'd been working since the '60s. He did star-studded comics of the Texas Trail from '68 to '72. He contributed to Skywald horror titles in the '70s and early '80s. And then he started working for Fantagraphics, and he drew Dalgota, Dinosaurs of Summer, Children of the Night Tide, Sea Dragon, and Water Walk. He's also, of course, known for the Retief series from Mad Dog Publishing. And in the '90s, among other things, he worked on ElfQuest with the Peonies at Warp Graphics. So he was getting known, but perhaps because it was in the '80s indie scene, and the '80s indie scene, the black and white boom and bust and stuff, maybe his work just got forgotten. I don't know. But let's take a look at his work. This is a Sea Dragon storyline that was written by Jan Sternad. Thank you for saying that, Lost. More sea dragon. And basically, this is about a young male dragon named Winston who's just tired of sitting around in this cave guarding his hoard of treasure. And his mom's like, you don't look at the sea; it's not a good thing. Look at all this cool stuff you have. To die away from your treasure is to die forever. And this is done in the 70s, early 80s. So all this stuff is done with duo shade and stuff by hand, not computer generated compared to today. So I know you guys are probably seeing some what looks like some weird stuff. It's actually the lettering is actually glued onto the pages, and you're seeing the lettering, some of the paper edges. He sees a ship out in the sea, and he decides he's going to go out there and attack it. But I'm not going to show you the rest of the story. It's a pretty cool story, though. And this is Delgota, and it's kind of like his the banner for their letter call, I'm pretty sure. And here's some more Delgota. This is black and white pages. The actual book was printed in color. And again, this is written by Jan Sternad. I just like his openness. Again, very clean, very easy. Even though his line weight doesn't always have the nature of for depth perception that some other artists have, he seems to have a knack for being able to place objects well enough that you're not losing the depth of what's in the images. So he's obviously a good inker if he can do that. Yep. It's funny. That's some of the stuff I'm showing later is your Elvira pages. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Definitely on the dragons on these pages, there's really not grays on them. He's got a little bit of whiteout wash to show like sunlight beams in the first two panels on the left page, and everything else that you're seeing is cross hatching that to create gray shadows. Mm-hmm. On these pages. Mm-hmm. And it might not be able to see it that well because of the way the camera is. I don't know. And here's Delgota fighting these plants that are gonna eat them. I really like Dennis's stuff, and I would I don't know I've actually I'm friends with Jan as well, Jan Sternad, and I keep trying to get someone to pick up Delgota and reprint it. and finish the story because they've never finished it in all these years, and they're not young anymore. You know, want to get it done before they die. I don't know if I'm the only one who feels that way, but oh well. Let's see who else we've got. Finally, last and not least, certainly not least, another classic guy here, Boston Wallace. Yes, he does have a nice epic illustrated heavy metal. He does have that kind of European Mobius work as well. Boston, you are, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is what I thought you were best known for. Lorna Relic Wrangler from Image, which you did with, oh geez, I can picture his artwork and I can't think of anything. Darwin Cook, if I'm not mistaken. Mars Attacks Firstborn from IDW, Mars Attacks Judge Dredd from IDW, Rocketeer in the Spirit from IDW, Elvira, I should have put that in there, I forgot to. Various covers for other properties. And I said DC Animated Universe style storybooks and coloring book work. That's what I was remembering you mostly for. Why Loston is on this list? Like much of the many other artists listed here, he's another one of these multifaceted artists who can draw on a variety of art styles, which tends to confuse our editors for some inexplicable reason. I think he's comfortable doing classic EC style horror, animated styles of the DCAU, and he has a very solid late 80s to early 90s style. And what I mean by that is not that it's a dated style. It's just he understands the nuances of the Bronze Age illustrators. Darwin did covers for Lorna and for Rocketeer Spirit. Okay. And other styles I've seen Loston use over the years, because I've watched Loston for years. Probably, I know I haven't talked too much online, but I've been probably following you. Jeez, probably one of the first guys I saw in DeviantArt actually. So it's been a while. It's been a moment. Probably at least 10 years. Probably closer to 15. But I just think you're another guy who's deeply misvalued in today's market. And it used to be that we artists were expected to be able to work in one style. It seems today, especially in comics, not so much in other fields of when we do artwork, but just in comics. A lot of editors only want you to get known for doing one style. And I feel that as an editor, having worked in editorial and talking to other editors and management, that's because they control you then. They think they can control you and when and where and how often you can get work if you can only do one trick styles, you know. So let's take a look at Loston's work. This is the Elvira pages that he was talking about a little bit earlier. And he was inked by Bob Wyachek in here. And yeah, we can see a little bit of the, I don't know if you guys can or not. It's probably a little bit too small on your screen. Let's see. No, if you enlarge it, you should be able to see it. There's a little bit of the paper edge in the lettering in the bottom right corner of the first page. In the top of that box in the bottom right corner, you can see the edge of the lettering paper in there. And you can see a little bit of the edge on the summary judgment as well. So that's cool. And then you said that was in the early 2000s? Yeah, that could be. You know, that very well could be. A lot of people might, you know, there's a lot of guys who got in the early 90s, myself, who don't know. Wonder if they add balloons to the panels. Yeah, there is a lot of there. Well, sometimes it is a little bit there, but sometimes you left space for it all. I don't. Either the letterer is a genius, or or you had some really nice figuring out how to do the layouts to fit everything. So, oh wow. So your script was only panel description. Ooh, this is around 2003. Okay. So you did this Marvel plot style basically, and you drew everything, and then how Richard just went to town and went and had a case of chronic Claremontitis. But actually, I mean, for what you've got here and what's there, I think you did a nice job. I mean, I don't think you completely overpowered your artwork. I mean, that's true. It's very true. Yep. Yeah, Claypool was a nice company. I mean, I never heard anything bad about Claypool, really. Um, I don't know how well they paid, but it was nice that you got to work on this stuff, though. I mean, it's got a nice classic look, to it, and we just don't see that. Money was better than Archie. Yeah, there you go. And you had a great inker in Wyatchek. I mean, I mean, you could do a lot worse than Bob inking you. I mean, I don't know. Did you put the lettering for Chomp in there, or is that something that was added in? I just like the monster because it's like the monster from oh geez, Maurice Sendak's Where the Wild Things Are. And it's like, I don't know. Yeah, did you draw that lettering in there as part of the page, or did the letterer put that in there? Yeah, that was in the script. Okay, cool. Mm-hmm. I love this stuff. I mean, it's so nice. It's so clean. Would love to have seen the pencils uh, before Bob inks it, but I pretty much know how your pencils look, so I'm pretty confident that it was pretty similar. I mean, not something that like he overpowered you or anything. Here's some more of those pages. It's just kind of fun to look at. And here's some more work. I don't know who colored you on these. I didn't have time actually to find out who the colorist was on these. Who colored you on the Mars Attacks covers? Cool. Steve Downer. Yeah. Okay. I just couldn't on the files I had. They were too small for me to tell who the colorist was, and I just hadn't had a chance to look up all the stuff. But yeah, very nice stuff. Yes, I know who Steve is. Excellent colorist. Did you do the? Did you do this traditional or digital? Because I'm pretty sure you're one of the more traditional type artists, but cool. Okay. Then I'm going to say the Starfield is done with a toothbrush. Because I really do like the way that came out. I think that Steve did a nice job. Cool. Very nice work. I just like putting this side by side and letting people see it that way. Leave that back there again. And this is your cover for final cover for Mars Attacks Firstborn #1. Yep, definitely. That makes sense to me. I do the same thing. I do the toothbrush and then I put in some more additional stuff. Yeah, here he's tributing Wally Wood, and again, that kind of just to me, you have a lot of interest in that era. Your style tends to reflect Wally Wood and Jack Kamen and Al Feldstein, and I see a lot of you. I see like you learned from a lot of that stuff. Bernie Wrightson was another one that you seem to pick up a lot of tricks from when I look at your work. And I thought that was pretty cool. Again, I think that's a lot of reasons why in some cases some of these younger editors that are getting in the business, they don't know their history, they don't know the talent that was of the past, so they're like, oh well, that's just old hat, that's not going to be marketable. Wood, Buscema, Wrightson, Newton, Wildy, yep. This is a nice ROM cover. Again, this is Steve Downer coloring, right? It looks like Steve's signature down there. Awesome. Alex Raymond. Yeah, I was thinking Al Williamson, but Al Williamson learned a lot from Raymond, so okay. Yeah. Very nice there. Yeah, yeah, that makes perfectly logical sense. Schultz, nah, yes, Schultz is another one that I can see. I totally see that. Totally see that. Yeah, you're a traditionalist, old school type guy, and yeah, they use that for graphic color, right? That would be Okay. Yeah, I really do enjoy this stuff. I wasn't. I started reading the ROM stuff. I think this is. Is this the? This is from the first year of the book, right? If I remember correctly. Because all I remember was not really being keen on the book itself. For like I got the first issue because of the blank covers and was doing sketch covers and stuff on that. But I just, I don't know. It didn't click for me. Like, I don't know why. It is from IW's first run. Okay. I think this is the last issue I got then of, of that run was for that. Joe Kubert School. You went to the Kubert School. What years did you go? And who were some of your classmates? Yeah, you know, you went. Okay, you went 94 to 96. Did you know Ed Pisker offhand? Or no, you couldn't. Well, maybe you. I can't. No, I think Pisker must have been after that. Alex Maleev. Okay. It's always interesting to see who the classmates were who made it big, or at least broke into the industry. Yeah, Ed I was thinking Ed was that early, but then I said no, he was too young. He came in later, so it's always interesting. You went there in 94 and 96. I was just leaving um, college around. I graduated college in 94, May of 94. And is that necessarily a bad thing? As long as it doesn't look exactly like whatever he referenced. I mean, you know, if you know what I mean. But that's kind of interesting. But yeah, I was going to Central Michigan University, and I I called up the Kubert School and had them send the basic. Um, oh, jeez. Now that's a bad thing if you never gave you your books back. Oh, jeez. But yeah, I remember that. I had the Kubert send my instructors um, their um, trying to think of the word for it. Not the whole program, but like just the basic, very basic stuff. Because I was trying to develop um, a graphic novel, you know, a sequential art studies program there, and we did okay for a while, a couple years before that. Yes, it can be a crutch if it's the only way you draw things, but that like I said, you know, there's a difference between referencing and yeah. Ah, there you go. It's just more or less a speed factor thing. Trying to, he couldn't always think of stuff in his head. Needed references to get the creative juices flowing. Probably, as long as you're not copying like certain people. I'm not going to name names, but let's see what else you got here. Here we go. One of those classic EC style horror illustrations by Austin. I think this is just gorgeous. Let me see if I can. You can. I don't know if you guys can. Let's see if I can enlarge this here. Again, you're doing a lot of brushwork. I don't know if you. I presume you use some quill, tech pens, maybe not that much though, because you have a very your style just looks very brush to me. Um, is this something you did for a commission, or was this something for an actual? Yeah, there you go. Rights and meets ground angles, and it looks like that. That's what it looks like. You captured it wonderfully. Uh, no, Dwayne. That actually wasn't who I was thinking of, but yeah, these days that's who you would think of. But I think further back than that. I'm a little bit more. I mean, even though he drew in his own style, and I say that loosely in quotations. If you look at a lot of Liefeld's work, you can see where he's swiping panels and swiping specific poses and stuff like that. But not just Liefeld, but I mean, even I used to do it when I first started. Um, I did a lot of do a lot of that. When you're still, it's okay to do it when you're learning, but when you're getting published, you can't just unless you're homaging something specific for an assignment, you shouldn't be doing it. So, but yeah. And Alex, Alex Lee was very skilled. I don't think he's not, but no, Land, Land is more like a photo tracer who tries to do sequential art. And the sad part of it is he's actually much more talented than he um, presents because he does so much stuff with the photo referencing. Same thing with Tim Bradstreet. Tim Bradstreet does a lot of photo referencing in his work that you can tell it's just like traced off the photo, and as a result, you know, there you go. And see that's the difference. Alex never traced. There you go. He extrapolates details from photos. There you go. There's difference. Same thing with George Perez. George Perez was a photo freak. I mean, George Perez, geez, but he understood how to draw the same person from. You could take a photo of a person and have like maybe two or three angles, and then you could draw from different stuff like that, with just from the photos. Yeah, there you go. Alex Ross uses models and poses them. Um, yeah, sometimes he uses models. Tim Bradstreet uses models. A lot of people use models. There's nothing wrong with using a model. It's just if you're going to use the model and take photos of the models or whatever you're going to do, you still have to kind of make sure you're doing something that's different. Because there's always some. It's like you. What'll happen when you use with with models is you'll get used to poses that you in your head that you subconsciously think are new and they're not. It's the same pose that you've already done. Um, right. Yeah. Now, land isn't. Yeah, like I said, land is actually much better than people think he is. Not everything he does is trace. It's just that when he gets, you can tell when he's not being consistent and when he's being a little bit lazy. That's all. And Austin says Alex Ross doesn't need reference, but as a painter, he likes to have them handy. In the early days, he filed reference. Maybe a little too close, but he's gotten away from that. Yeah. Right. Yeah. When you take someone's other photos or stuff like that and not reference and not crediting it or what not crediting stuff like that, then you got an issue. Like again, that's one thing to use for learning, but it's not for professional level work. Well, yeah, well, that's the thing. If you can make artistic choices and change things, but if it's too similar, it's still too similar. I guess that's what we're getting at with land, but definitely. Now we've been on for an hour and a half or so, and unfortunately, I was going to do a lot more people, but my dad decided that he was going to do some. He was trying to get one of our doors fixed. The handle's broken on it and doesn't want to open and shut and lock correctly. So I don't know. Earlier today, when I was doing my Booktober video near the end, I don't know if John heard it or not, but there was pounding going on with a hammer and drills going and stuff. And like, what the heck, man? Don't you know I'm podcasting? But yeah, so I had to go help him with that. So I didn't get to do everything I wanted to show. So we're going to have to come back and do some more creators next week on that. So first off, I want to say thanks to Dwayne and Loston for showing up. I know Loston's been under the weather. Hope you're feeling better, sir. And I asked Dwayne what kind of projects he would like to do. What kind of stuff have you not been able to do that you'd like to try and get in on before you sign off for the industry or sign off for the next phase of existence? John said he heard it a little bit. Yeah, I figured you did. Even though it was downstairs and the other side of the house, it was that loud. So Conan, FF, Hulk, and Batman. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. Okay, I understand you on my Batman list. I could see you doing that. Conan's your favorite. Okay. I used to like Conan. Trivia. Okay. What's he got? He's got. You asking us a question? Interesting. Well, that kind of explains why you like Conan in a way. What do you think of the current Conan that's in the modern Marvel universe, Boston? That Ah, so you're saying exact same age. Okay, that's cool. You have some catching up to do. Ah, interesting. Mhm. That makes sense, though. You're given your tastes and how you do artwork and stuff like that. That's probably another reason why then you're not getting picked up as much because they're saying, well, gee, he doesn't like that stuff anyway, type thing. But I don't know. When they killed the cat. Yep, totally makes sense to me. Totally makes sense. Um, I'm surprised you didn't get in at Dark Horse when Dark Horse had Roy Thomas doing Conan. But now that Marvel's got it, they got Conan in the modern day Marvel universe, teamed up with Wolverine and a bunch of other people. The '90s. When you say '90s, what are you saying? Like the mid to late '90s, or because I mean you got in, you were going to school in Hubert '94 to '96. So that's cool. So people are discovering you. It's just that it just means that the editors need to go keep looking, find you. Yeah, see, I can tell you, they had rounds of samples. Yeah, see that I heard that from with John too, John Dennis, constantly. He was promised, like I said, all those different titles, and it never came to fruition. Every time it become, well, yeah, but we got someone else. So who knows? I could have seen you on it. Yeah, definitely. Um, that's interesting perspective there, Dwayne. I don't know if it's so much. I mean, I get where you're coming from. Yes, they are killing some of the goofy stuff, so to speak. I think the problem started in the '90s. Um, yeah, there you go. I believe that. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that, lost. And getting back to that, in the early '90s, it started really in the late '80s. But when they started just expanding and doing multiple titles featuring all the same characters over and over and over, um, and they started doing crossover events and stuff like that, to me is what started killing it for me. Because one, we couldn't afford them all, even back then. When they were affordable at 75 cents to a book, you have to buy the whole uh, the whole print line to follow everything. It gets a little bit ridiculous. But it was also the beginning of the copycat era in the '90s. I mean, it was great when Jim Lee or Silvestri or somebody was getting out there, but then all of a sudden you had 7 or 8 guys that did the same thing and they were getting work, and it's like, why? There's other artists who are better than them. These kids are, they haven't even learned the basics. They got the look, but they don't have the structure. They don't have the understanding of storytelling and stuff like that. So That was one of the big problems I felt hurt the 90s comics for me. That plus I didn't like the new writers that were coming in a lot of the time. Um, there was a lot of problems with the editors at Marvel at the time. And whether they were doing this because they were trying to cut corners on costs because they were dealing with the financial struggles that led to their eventual Chapter 11 bankruptcy. But there were a lot of editors who were writing multiple books on the side, and I kind of, well, let's just say I called them out publicly on that and said that was bullshit. uh, yeah, the Hollywood comics is understandable. Yeah, I haven't. The last thing I bought on a regular basis from Marvel was the Busiek Perez Avengers run, which ended in '03. And I don't mind the Jason Aaron stuff for Thor when he was doing Jane Foster as Thor. He did a nice run on that. But now that run is over and she's dead and she's a Valkyrie and all this, I don't care. I wanted to do my whole life to do comics since I was 4 years old in the industry. I wanted to be a part of Disappeared. Comics are a different animal now entirely. Hollywood comics, not my bag. And that there you go. And that's maybe that's part of the reason why you aren't seen there, because it's not really where you want to be, and that makes sense. You know, if they would let you do what you want to do, how you want to do it, you'd be there. And you're not the only person who feels that way. I feel the same way. I haven't pitched. I stopped pitching to Marvel around '01 or '02. I had a number of products that were approved and then canceled out from under me. So, they weren't really feeding the collector market. They were, but they weren't. What they were doing is they were filling their own fanboy agendas, especially in that early '90s Marvel. When Jim Shooter left, and a lot of people hate Shooter, and I'm not saying Shooter was a saint by any means. He brought his own. He had plenty of baggage, but a lot of the top editors became freelance writers and even left Marvel entirely. People like Louise Simonson, Joe Duffy, Ann Nocenti. They quite a few of them just left, and some of them went to DC. Carlin went over to DC. O'Neill went over to DC. And that kind of changed the perspective. And when DeFalco and his crew came in, Tom was not a very good editor for that. He shouldn't have been the guy in charge. Just the way I feel about it. I saw him do a lot of things that were not not to the best benefit of the company or to the fans, like you say. And I started seeing a lot of the associate editors and assistant editors that became editors become writers, like Fabian Nicieza went from editing to writing, but he was also editing on the side for a little while. He did eventually leave, and then, full-time freelancer, which is the way you're supposed to do it. If you're going to be, as someone who's been an editor and writer, if you're going to freelance write, don't edit at the same time. It's not cool. But there you go. Comic page of $2,180. Damn. The sound book for how many pages was the sound book? Yeah, the kids' books are more. That's true. 24 pages and you got paid 17 grand. So that's like, about 700 a page. 24 pages, that's like for 17,000. That's like 750 a page versus less than 100 a page. That's crazy. Yeah, movie time when you have to. Yep, 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 yep. Yeah, I've done some. Well, you're gonna, yeah, because you're fighting all the different. I can believe the politics there. Dwayne asks, "Do you need an agent for that?" I think in most cases, no. I think it's just the right people finding you. Like Lawson says, he didn't actually. A lot of times, he doesn't actually go out and find them. They come to him. They find him. Um, is you know, that's one of the things that I don't know how certain people do get found. And like you said, Lawson did a lot of work in the commercial side, and that helps. Licensing. Yep, that makes sense. Yeah, I started out with the was it Bendon Publishing? Yeah, definitely cool. Uh, the good thing though is, I mean, the stuff that you did on the kids' books, if I remember correctly. Hold on a second. What's going on here? Oh, okay. Mike Hawthorne just beat me on Facebook. Let me see something here. Because you were working for Scholastic, weren't you? I'm pretty sure. I mean, once you get like people like Scholastic to look at your stuff, or um, who was the other ones? There it is. Okay. Landals. Why can I not? I'm not picturing Landals. I don't know that one off the top of my head. The other one I heard. The other ones I know. Oh, okay. That was like a super. Okay, Landell's the one that does the coloring and activity books. Okay. Yeah. Don't worry, I'm still here. Someone just asked me something else privately. I'm still here. Excellent. Mhm. Was that Landell's or was that DC's licensing or who was that? Yeah, these days you go to the conventions and there's nobody there, to hire anybody. Anyway, you know, so nobody knows because I was making money. DC licensing. There you go. Head of DC licensing. Okay, got or not head of, but one of the editors for DC licensing. Yeah, yeah. That is one of the funny things about working comics and licensing. Um, I don't know if you've experienced that um, or not, Austin, but um, does the licensing and the comics departments butt heads on who gets to work with which artists? Because it seemed like that was the case when I was working with Marvel licensing. I would work on stuff for Marvel licensing, and they'd approve it, and then some idiot editor from Marvel Comics would come over. Hey, what are you hiring him for? We don't like him. Mhm. Yeah. Right. Super returns. Super friend returns. Mm, yeah. See, I've never worked for DC. I've only worked with Marvel, and part of the reason I never worked for DC, I tried. Don't get me wrong. It just didn't pan out. Oh, Superman Returns movie. Okay, gotcha. Okay, gotcha. As I was saying, I never worked with DC. I did pitch some stuff to DC, um, and Denny O'Neil was really kind to me, and he called me up and he was like, "I really like what you've sent, but we've already got that, you know, lined up for Batman. So we can't, we're already telling that story. Sorry." That happened a couple times. And Mike Carlin, when he was the head of the Superman books, contacted me and let me know that they couldn't use something because I was in conflict with what was already being done. But they liked the work, so it just wasn't the right time, I guess. But when around 2000 or so, when Jeanette Kahn stepped down and Dan DiDio stepped in, and then Jim Lee started getting power in the company, and then Bob Harris started getting power in the company. I was like, nope, this is not for me. I don't want to deal with them because I had issues with Harris at Marvel. So that was kind of the end of it. Steve Corte or Court. Is it Corte or Court? I I'm not familiar with him. That's cool. I guess he's now with Random House in Canada. Court. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So did Dan Panosian. I think both of you did. Hard to say. I don't know. It's crazy. I think half the reason they moved back west is because Jim Lee wanted to go back home. When he sold the company, sold Wildstorm to them. I guess he had to go and be in New York for a while and didn't like the weather. It's like, no. Cool. King Features, action figure stuff. Yep. Didn't you do a King feature? You did comic strip for one of the King Features characters, if I remember correctly. Which would actually explain why you would be doing the action figure packaging too. But yeah, this is why we. It's not that we need comics to make a living, folks. It's that we can find other things. Um, I just wish that sometimes the comics companies understood that we're here and that we could do some really cool stuff for them if they give us the opportunity. The Flash Gordon Sunday strip. Wow. Whew, that had to be pressure following up Al. That had to be pressure. I don't think I could have done that. I bow to you, sir. I bow to you. Hold on a second. Let's see what's going on over here. Yeah. That's awesome. John's still in the room. John Norris is, and he's still he's like gobsmacked by all this talent that we have in the room tonight. Both Dwayne and Austin. I just wish you guys had been able to come on screen, but that's okay if you didn't. I'm glad you're here at all. So many guys tell me they're going to be on the show and then bail and don't show up at all. So very happy to have you guys here tonight in chat. We'll have to do a live draw session or something where we're all doodling whatever we're doodling or something sometime. Yeah, definitely. I mean, like you say, Williamson is just legendary on not just Flash Gordon, but a lot of things. I mean, wow, Yep, you've had a good career so far then. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I got a lot more to go. I mean, I've got, let's see, we've got Gary Martin, who's a hell of an anchor, not a bad penciler in his own right. Chris Relhawk Kohler, which you guys probably don't know him. He's more of an underground artist, but he's really a exceptional reproduction artist as well. John Feek, who's a gentleman out of Westminster, Maryland, who does this amazing stuff, cartooning wise. He's more of a here. Here's some John Feek real quick. Does these little panels, one panel strips. It was just a matter of just not having enough time to scan everybody's artwork and put everything together and pick the best. Yeah, you probably learned a lot from Gary too on your inking. I mean, Gary's an amazing inker. Yeah, thank you for being. Don't let go of that. Learn always come back. There's always something more to learn. I mean, crazy stuff. I mean, I learned inking kind of haphazardly from Austin and Jeff Albrecht and Tim Zahn and a few others. But when I first started out, and it kind of got me geared towards one type of inking. I had to like relearn over the years so I could go back and do brush work and stuff like that, because a lot of those guys use tech pens, and there's nothing wrong with using tech pens. There's nothing wrong with using any tool. Let's just be clear on that. It's just a matter of gaining confidence and learning how to use a tool properly. But yeah, it's great, man. I want to thank Dwayne and Lost for coming into the chat. I want to thank my regular guests. But that is all the gentlemen we're going to be able to cover tonight. But I want to remind everybody that Saturday I will be at Scratch and Spin Records and Collectibles at 513th 12th Street in West Columbia, South Carolina, from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. for their Halloween Comic Fest event. That is not an official Halloween Comic Fest event. That was not held by Diamond this year. But I'll be there. They will have free comics that they're giving away. I will have sketch cards and action figures and cool stuff to be given away as well. Kim DeMulder's another excellent inker that I could understand. Did you get when you were at the Kubert School? Did Kim teach you at the Kubert School? I can totally see that, because the Mulder's inks are so brush heavy. Okay. Oh, Tex taught at Kubert School. Okay, I didn't realize he was teaching there. Okay. Mike Sellers. Okay, yeah, I know Mike. I know of Mike. I don't know him. Okay. Man, you had good teachers. I had to do it the hard way. I had to take like what they would send to the school and then build my own program myself. It was interesting. We did that for like 2.5 years at Central Michigan. Built a program that way, but we didn't have any people there in Michigan at the time that wanted to come up there and teach. Unfortunately, that were of that caliber. So. And do on my own. But yeah, alrighty then. Mm-hmm. Let's see what we got going on here. There we go. Whoops. Yeah, RPG illustration will do that for you for a while too, because I did that as well. Worked for TSR and Wizards of the Coast and Steve Jackson Games, Pinnacle, which I believe you worked for most of those companies too at some point. All right, gentlemen. I'm going to call it an evening. If you guys want to reach me on Facebook, it's at Lewis.BrightRaven, at DeviantArt.com/BrightRaven. On YouTube, at Quoth the Raven, Lewis BrightRaven. Lewis.BrightRaven, at DeviantArt. Hold on a second, what's going on? Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. If you want to email me, you can go to quotheravenlbr72@gmail.com or lewisbrightraven@yahoo.com. The podcast normally airs Thursday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But for tomorrow, I will have tomorrow around 1:30, 2 o'clock, I'll have day 30 of Booktober. And then on Saturday In the evening, I'll do day 31 on Halloween because. And thank you, Wallace, for subscribing to the channel. Loston for subscribing to the channel. I really appreciate that. So like I said, Friday and Saturday I'll do the last two Booktobers, and then in November I will have November 6th will be my next live draw event. And then throughout November, we're just going to be like doing kind of like more of these type of shows where we have more underrated writers and illustrators I'm going to talk about. And we'll talk about book reviews and stuff that I'm getting. What are you guys getting for Christmas type stuff? Show what I'm selling for Christmas myself. So that'll be the show. Coming forward through the rest of this year, and then season 3 of the show will start on January 4th. Okay, then. So let me get this silly computer being fussy because it likes to do that to me. And thank you all again for being here, and we'll see you guys tomorrow afternoon for Booktober Day 30.